There's been a decline of people going into the scientific fields and going into fields related to math and science. And I am in the science field. I'm hopefully going to get my degree, but I never always used to be like this. And I just wanted to tell you the story of my life. As kids, like if you've ever played with Legos or anything like that, you show sign of scientific prowess, but as you grow older, society rips it out of you. And that's what happened to me as a kid. Um, my story is about myself and how I overcame the obstacles of society and became what I am today and hopefully what I will be in, a couple years. So it all begins October 3rd, 1997. I was, of course, born. I am 16 now. I know. Hairline. And genetics. And so when I was a kid, I did what every single other kid used to do. I used to play with Legos and I used to have shown signs of scientific prowess. As I said, as every other kid does. But as I grew up and got older, I started hating math because that was just the common, sort of saying, oh, I hate math, oh, I hate math. And I convinced myself as a kid that I actually hated math. I used to be, I wasn't the best, but I used to be okay at math as a kid. But the more I grew up, the less I started liking math, and therefore the less I started getting in math. So, like, my grades were not really good. I actually got held back in algebra because I just really was not achieving. So seventh grade, I was doing algebra, and I didn't do that well. So they put me in this advanced algebra course, which is basically terms for you're okay at algebra, but you're not good enough to go to geometry. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't I just read and redo the book over the summer, and I think that'll help me a bit. So I did the book, and I remember the moment I was doing a problem. It was I remember this, chapter 7, um, number 13. It was an odd set, it was level B, and it was about slopes, finding slopes. And I remember just doing it, and when I solved the question, I just had a sort of a relief in my eyes. I was like a crime, like a detective, and I had just solved a crime. And I never looked at math again in a conventional way, how schools like to teach you. I looked at math more in a way of a mystery. And as you can see with all the stuff behind me, I really have shown an interest in math, but I don't like math. Like I don't. Now I love computation and all virtues of math, but as when I started liking math, I never liked the actual part. I liked solving the mysteries. I like the logic behind it because it's all flawless logic, right? One plus one has to always equal two. It can't equal something else, right? And so that logic was just amazing. And one of my actually college professors said that if you look at it, there is no experimental math. Math is all theoretical. There's no such thing as one. There's no such thing as two. There's no such thing as a derivative. There's no such thing as non-differential Galois theory. That is all fake. That is all what we have created. And we have representations of what we observe, right? And so philosophical thoughts like that are deep rooted in the scientific community, but nobody really knows about it. So as I started to like math more and more, um, I actually felt relief in my life. Like there were common themes that out of the darkness that was my middle school career, and in middle school I was not a very happy kid, but the nice, logical, like I could always fall back on math. Math was always going to be there. And so in my life, as I look back on it, I'm a logical guy. Everybody is logical. Common sense is not that common. It's actually very rare, but logic is very common, right? Oh, getting a phone for this much is always going to be better than getting a phone for this much, right? So let's go to one carrier instead of another. You make logical decisions every single day. And so the story that I'm trying to purvey is that, and the lesson is that you always need, even if you're in the depth of a fire, you always need to understand that there is a light at the end of the dark tunnel. And for me, through my depression and all that stuff, the light at the end of the dark tunnel for me was science and math. And out of this hatred became love. A lot of times when people do something, there is this little fire that gets burnt in them, and then it slowly wisps away. For me, that fire was ignited. It was cold. The candle was cold, but then it just got ignited, and it's now staying there. And hopefully, I hope my story helps others in their goals and what they want to do. Thank you, and thank you for allowing me to share my story.